Welcome back to the Foundry by Forge College. Man, I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today. Let's just jump right into this explainer. We're talking about how to stop your API documentation from turning into this, dusty digital graveyard, and instead transforming it into living, breathing infrastructure. Now, if you caught our last session, we went over API versioning, basically the rules of the road for how code changes over time. But here's the million-dollar question. Knowing when your code changes is awesome, but how in the world do you automatically detect what needs changing in your instruction manuals? Well, let's figure it out.
So, here's our blueprint for today's build. We're going to cover 1. Goodbye dusty static manuals. 2. Docs as living infrastructure. 3. The feedback capture pipeline. 4. Triage and versioning decisions. 5. A real-world RPC error example. And finally, 6. Building your module guide.
All right, part 1. Goodbye dusty static manuals. Seriously, it's time to stop getting lost in construction zones.
Have you ever tried following a coding tutorial and it feels like you're trying to navigate a bustling modern city using a fold-out paper map from like 1995? It is the absolute worst, right? Well, that's the old way. That's static manuals. They literally get outdated the very second they're published, and they just cause endless errors because they are treated as a reactive afterthought. Someone finally remembers to update the docs weeks after the code actually shipped. No way. We need a fundamental shift here to living infrastructure. This is where your docs actually evolve right alongside the code. They auto-test their own code snippets, and they connect directly to the API's actual heartbeat. It's not an afterthought anymore. It is the core engine.
Moving to part 2, docs as living infrastructure. Let's look at the actual mechanics of maintenance.
So what does this actually look like in practice? Well, living documentation means you treat your words exactly like you treat your code. Think about your code base for a second. It's got a ticketing system, right? It's got automated tests, those CI checks that fire off every single time someone makes a change. Your docs need that exact same operational rigor. When a documentation change goes through the same automated checks as a code change, it completely transforms. It goes from being this neglected short to a highly observable, totally reliable system.
And to make this actionable, every single piece of documentation gets a clear owner and a measurable health metric. Take your core API reference specs, for example. Your lead API engineer owns those, and success is measured by how many endpoints actually pass automated validation tests. Simple. For code examples and SDK snippets, your developer experience lead takes the wheel there, making sure those snippets run without blowing up in the user's face. And migration guides, that's on the product manager, measured by how fast users can actually get through the upgrade. So there is zero ambiguity, no finger pointing, just crystal clear accountability across the board.
Which brings us to part 3, the feedback capture pipeline. This is how we gather the raw materials.
Now, to fuel this whole engine, you can't just sit around waiting for developers to complain on Twitter. We have to capture signals from absolutely everywhere. We're talking in-product telemetry, user reports, GitHub issues, runtime errors, structured feedback forms, the whole shebang. Actually, this is a core principle we drill into our students across Forge College. You have to monitor the invisible signals. If your Solana RPC, the node your users are trying to talk to, is suddenly rejecting a massive amount of requests because of rate limits, your API is literally screaming at you that the documentation is failing. You just have to tune in and listen.
But to stop your team from just completely drowning in all that feedback, those raw materials flow through 3 automated gates. Step 1 is capture, just grabbing the metadata and the client context. Step 2 is classify. Now this is the really magic part. The system automatically tags an incoming issue as a documentation bug or an API behavior before a human even blinks at it. And then finally, step 3 is triage, where we mix human judgment with automated routing to decide exactly what we're going to do about it.
Part 4, triage and versioning decisions. Let's talk about routing that feedback. When your triage team, which is usually an engineer, a docs owner, and a release manager, when they look at a broken piece of documentation, they have to ask one massive question. The docs are broken, sure, but is fixing this a simple patch, a minor update, or a major update? We have to map the documentation fix directly to the correct release trigger.
And the distinction here is absolutely critical. A patch-level update, that's just fixing a typo or maybe updating a stale code snippet. The actual API contract, the fundamental rules of how the code talks, hasn't changed at all. So you can just push that fix immediately. But what if you're adding clarifications for new features or documenting a newly required field that actually changes how the API behaves? That is a major or minor update. You can't just quietly change the docs in the background. You have to coordinate with your release manager to bump the official version number in lockstep with the code.
All right, part 5, a real-world RPC error example. Let's put this machine to work.
Let's look at this system in action. Imagine your telemetry suddenly spots a massive spike in validation errors on a Solana payload example. At T0, the alarms are blaring. User reports are flooding in. Just 2 hours later, your pipeline has already tagged it as an example failure with high severity. The team looks at it and realizes, a new required field broke the old snippet, but the core API behavior is totally fine. It just needs an urgent docs patch. By hour 18, an updated snippet is automatically tested against the staging environment and the patch is published. Boom. Disaster averted, and it was handled almost entirely automatically.
And here is the beautiful result of that rapid response process, a crystal clear changelog entry. It tells developers exactly what changed, that we updated the transaction payload to include the recent block hash and fixed the signature format, and it clearly categorizes it as a docs patch. It tells the user exactly how to fix their code without triggering some panic-inducing version bump. It is clear, actionable, and 100% transparent. Finally, part 6, building your module guide, handing off the blueprint.
So as you gear up for your final capstone artifact in our Web 2 integration and API development on Solana track, you really need to bake this exact process into a repeatable blueprint. You've got to make sure your guide includes your feedback metadata fields, a strict cadence for triage meetings, standard issue tracker labels, changelog templates, and of course, mandatory test patterns for your example snippets. By templating this all out, your team won't have to reinvent the wheel every single time something breaks.
All right, I'm going to leave you with this final, kind of provocative thought. In the incredibly fast-moving world of Web3, if your documentation cannot automatically prove that it works, is it really documentation or is it already obsolete? Honestly, if it's not testing itself against your live APIs, it's just a liability waiting to frustrate your developers. I really hope this explainer completely changes how you view your documentation infrastructure. Be sure to head over to forge.college to master these scalable API architectures, dive into more amazing Web3 topics, and just keep that learning journey going. Keep building, keep testing, and I will see you next time.